training one of the guys in the room yesterday. He's one of our more monotone technicians, and he was beating himself up over a sale that he didn't get when we had some monster sales go yesterday by some other guys in that Phoenix room. And he's just kind of beating himself up overall. I don't know what he is in like his third week of running calls here. Not been training with us very long, but he's very monotone, right? So there's not a whole lot of voice inflection in what he says. And he said, I just don't, I don't understand how we'll say Eddie, who cracked a huge job yesterday and finished it last night. Congrats, Eddie. And Jack, who also hit a huge job, are hitting these huge jobs all the time. I feel like I'm doing what they're doing. I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do or saying the right words. And something that we haven't worked on him very much with yet, but we will here in the future, is voice inflection. He's monotone to the point where you really won't know whether he's excited or not unless he tells you, because there's very little change in his facial expressions, very little change in his body language, and no change whatsoever in his voice. It's like very smooth. And this is nice to be around because he's not overly excitable, but is it very convincing? Number one. Number two, because like we said on the podcast this week, I'm sure everybody on the call heard it, sales is 90% conviction and 10% persuasion. How convicting are you if your voice never changes, if your facial expressions never change, and if your body language doesn't really change? you have to ooze belief in your product and service. So I asked him who his favorite actor is. And I don't know who I expected, like John Malkovich or something, somebody a little more monotone. And who does he say? Samuel L. Jackson. like, I'm like, really? Samuel L. Jackson. Not somebody I would have thought would have said old Samuel L. So I said, dude, on the way home, pull over, YouTube up, and get that scene from Pulp Fiction where he and John Travolta shoot those guys that stole the money, right? He just goes off in that scene. And I said, like, write down the words, or have Chat GPT spit out the words to that scene for you. And go home and put your phone on record and recite those words just like you're reading them. And then try to recite them exactly like he does. And rewatch both of those videos and then really work on it until you do it just like he does. And watch both of those videos and see if it has any kind of impact on you, the different ways that you do it. Because oftentimes, especially when we're newer in sales and in what we do, especially in what we do in the trades, we believe that the technical knowledge that we possess is enough to make the sale. And we believe that for good reason, because it should be, right? Like, if I'm telling you, you need to treat the water, you need to replace this panel, or, it's a fire hazard. Hey, they outlawed Pushmatic for a reason. Look it up. That should be enough. But it's not enough. The top producers in all of our industries on here are people who know how to use their voice in a certain way, their facial expressions in a certain way, to appear more serious. If you don't have any voice inflection, I was thinking about this. I think we talked about it in Phoenix before, but there's this, I don't even know who did it the first time. I've probably seen like 20 people do it over the years, but there's this sentence that these people say where it's, I didn't say he stole the money, with no voice inflection whatsoever. It's kind of hard to tell what that sentence is actually conveying. But if you emphasize certain words, a different word every time, that sentence changes entirely. So what if I say, I didn't say he stole the money? What am I saying? Maybe he stole the money, but somebody else said it, not me. I didn't say he stole the money. I texted it, right? I wrote it on the whiteboard. I didn't say he stole the money. Maybe Maria did, right? Probably Maria did, if I had to guess. I didn't say he stole the money. Maybe he borrowed it, right? Maybe it was his to begin with. I didn't say he stole the money. I already had the money. He stole the bike, right? And so a different emphasis on a different word in every part of that sentence makes it a completely different sentence, right? And if we're using no kind of voice inflection or tonality whatsoever, we don't even know what message we're conveying to the client realistically. And that's a probably an over dramatization of what we do, but it's not that far off. This is why we need to use the presentation that we're trained, and it's why we need to role play it like crazy, and it's certainly why you need your best friend and your best role player right here recording you saying your presentation and playing it back and go, would I buy from him? Now we're going to work hard on the homes there that needed that talk yesterday, and then we're gonna talk about who he was on One Wiser Wednesday. We're going to have him role play it in Samuel L. Jackson's voice one day. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we're going to do it.